I think I would define myself as a spiritual being having a human experience. One metaphor that I think is also my spirit animal is the butterfly. But if you can inspire people to dream more, to do more, to become more, then you're a great leader. That hasn't changed. And I think that is how I would look at it. Transitions are moments of metamorphosis. It's about letting go to become more. So I think what inner child does is that it gives you a much deeper understanding of where is this coming from. And I'll give you one example. So I was coaching a leader who was so keen on having transitions every 18 months. Like every 18 months, he would hound HR. मेरा next promotion कब आ रहा है? And people were like, no, you settle into this role and there's so much more you can do here and so on. But he was that way. And there I felt the need that we needed to go a little deeper and really understand what was driving that need to quickly keep growing and continuously and endlessly. What we arrived at in that conversation, I still remember, it's been many years, is that he was trying to prove to his mother and he wanted to make his mother proud of him. And that's why I love this career. And that's why I chose this career. You'll find, Shanti, a lot of people say that, oh, I coach to create impact and so on and so forth. That was never, I never had an altruistic purpose. My purpose was my professional and personal growth have to overlap. I think I've seen too many leaders being too harsh and self critical and wanting to solve everything and being in that constant pressure. And I feel that it doesn't need to be that way.
A very warm welcome to everyone to the Learning Lounge podcast where leaders share. And today I'm very honored, thrilled to host a powerhouse in the world of leadership and personal transformation, Yoshita Swarup Sharma. Yoshita is an ICF certified PCC, NLP practitioner, and the co founder and CEO of A Brighter Life. What a wonderful name, Yoshita. We will talk about it. Yoshita, with over 2,500 hours of executive coaching across CXOs and senior leaders, has worked with leaders from across 75 organizations and helped them navigate role transitions, building executive presence, and leading with purpose. Before becoming a sought after coach and facilitator, Yoshita built a solid career in business and brand management. With global giants like Coca-Cola, Dabur, Ranbaxy, her unique blend of sharp business acumen and deep human insight makes her a trusted partner for leaders aiming to transform themselves and their teams. She is also a LinkedIn top voice in leadership development and executive coaching and has been recognized as the exceptional women of excellence by the Women Economic Forum. Her programs on self mastery, women leadership, and leader as a coach have left lasting impact across industries. Reading all of this, Yoshita, I want to really have an audience, and I could say, let's applaud for Yoshita. It feels so powerful to just read all of this about you today.
Thank you so much, Shanti. It was very, very honored to be here. It's a great privilege, and I'm so excited for this conversation.
Like,
Thank you for that introduction.
my pleasure. So, Yoshita, we will explore your journey from boardrooms to coaching rooms, the pivotal lessons you've learned along the way, and the transformative work that you've done to help and shine leaders across the globe. We'll have some fun along the way, and we'll dive in and uncover what it truly takes to create a brighter life for incredible leaders, professionals, and women, and we'd love to hear a lot of your stories, Yoshita. Are you ready?
I'm absolutely ready. Can't wait. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's
Let's
go.
dive in.
Lovely. So, Yoshita, for those of you meeting you for the first time,
Hmm.
how do you define Yoshita beyond the title, certificates, accolades?
I think I would define myself as a spiritual being having a human experience.
Wow.
And one metaphor that I think is also my spirit animal is the butterfly.
Hmm.
And for two reasons, I think. One is that butterfly, of course, evolution. It's all about evolution, stages, transformation, metamorphosis. But it's also about if you've ever sat and just watched a butterfly, it'll go in the garden, on its own pace, one flower, then it goes, flits there. So I feel that I'm also evolving in this garden of life. And I really resonate with the butterflies. So that's probably who I am.
Awesome. Which color is your butterfly?
Yellow, sunshine yellow.
Sunshine. Now, as you were just sharing, I was imagining a green garden with a yellow butterfly. Oh,
So yeah, so we are matching vibrationally then.
yeah, there you go. So Yoshita, you've worn multiple hats: marketer, trainer, coach, inner child therapist, even a dancer. And I'm guessing you would have transitioned across these roles, or having to transition, morning a dancer, evening a inner child. You'd have done that. What has tied all these transitions for you together?
Hmm. I think what has tied it together is just a connectedness to myself. I think from as far back as I can remember.
Mm.
I have spent a lot of time just with myself, listening to my inner voice, having a lot of inner dialogues, journaling. And I think that creates a connectedness. And I think the second thing is maybe a sense of adventure for life,
Mm.
a sense of trust, because some of these transitions have been such where it really you step into the unknown. You don't know what that is
Yeah.
going to what it's going to emerge, but you just go, you trust, you listen to your voice and you say, maybe I should do this. And so yeah, these two things probably.
Wonderful, wonderful. Um, what nudged you into coaching?
Oh, that's interesting. So it's been a journey. Like you introduced me, I was a marketer for 12 years, and then I was looking to get to a place where I could overlap professional and personal life. I felt that mostly people were so much into professional life that personal life would happen only on weekends.
Yeah.
And you would know that also. So, I think there was that need in me, and that led me first to facilitation as a career. So that was my first career move.
Mm.
But when I was a facilitator, I discovered that there is something called coaching, which is 101. It is deep, it is it is transformational, it is sustainable shifts. It is very suited for an introvert like me who loves to go and explore, at the being level.
Mm.
So I was like, it was like I had been given some kind of a treasure that, oh, you can get paid to do this work. I remember the first few coaching conversations, I was like, this is so much fun. And, but on a more serious note, I think what also attracts me to coaching is the fact that I get to work with senior leaders.
Yeah.
And I feel that that's at the top of the pyramid where the impact is the maximum. Because if you can be a catalyst for one leader, that one leader is a catalyst for so many in their team and so many in their organization. So that domino effect is also something that attracted me to coaching. So yeah, for all those reasons, I think I now love coaching more than anything else.
Wonderful. Um, and how did this exploration evolve into you creating the Leadership Transformation Lab, Transition Lab?
Oh, the Leadership Transition Lab. Yeah, that's the new kid on the block. Very excited about this new offering. So this is okay. So I've been doing transition coaching for the longest time because when I started coaching in 2013, and over a period of time, I realized that most organizations go for coaching only where either they are succession planning or some leaders have just transitioned and they want to support those leaders. Uh, so, as part of my process, I used to spend a lot of time talking to stakeholders of the leaders, their managers, their peers, their teams. And I noticed one thing that there were certain commonalities across the leaders that one would find out what are they struggling with, right? So, one thing in coaching, Shanti, is that normally we do, okay, here's a 6 month or a 8 month coaching. There are two objectives we are going to take,
Hmm.
right? Two, maximum three. And but when I looked at all the reports that I myself write, so I first, talk to people, I make notes, I convert it into a report. Over
Hmm.
the period of time, I started realizing that actually two things is not going to solve for the transformation that a leader needs to go on, the journey that they need to go on when they move levels. And I felt that there was a need gap over there. So that was one aspect of the development of the product. The
Hmm.
second was that I think in the last 4, 5 years, people have become more woke. I think post COVID impact, and people have started reaching out directly to coaches via LinkedIn, which was never the case 10 years ago.
Hmm.
And I, as I was having a lot of these discovery conversations, I realized that there is high stakes, high stress, high failure rates when there's transition. So there's a clear need gap,
Hmm.
right? There's a clear need gap, especially when leaders are transitioning into a new organization or they are where their context is significantly changing in terms of people that they work with, the culture, and all of that. So, all of this led to the creation of a structured one on one coaching, which we are calling the Leadership Transition Lab.
Hmm.
And we've been rolling it out in the last couple of months and have had very, very good response. Everybody is like, yeah, 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 this is something that is needed.
Wonderful.
So, yeah.
What makes these lab different from other coaching interventions?
I think the structure around the lab, the fact that it's a 6 month journey, which has a lot of different aspects to it, and it is held together by certain themes that all leaders go through when they transition. So
Hmm.
we've created a framework which we are calling Scale Up, and
Scale up.
Scale Up,
Hmm.
yeah, Scale Up, and each letter in that stands for something.
Hmm.
So it starts with yourself
Yeah.
and how you, as yourself, need to understand your strengths and your values.
Hmm.
C is for culture. So once you understand your values, you can then, dovetail your values into the values of the organization. So that's the culture part. Then comes aligning to stakeholders. So you have another thing which I've realized is that when leaders get hired laterally, they only speak to the hiring manager or HR. But when they join an organization, there are n number of stakeholders who have n number of expectations.
Yeah.
So how can we support the leader figure out what are the expectations from the larger ecosystem?
Hmm.
And so that's also something that is part of the program. Then there is, of course, leading team. So you have a new team, you have a new set of people that you've inherited, and it's not by choice. It's like family, not by choice. Abhi hai to hai na? So so stepping back to look at the team holistically, look at each individual, their aspirations, getting to know them. So the way this um, whole journey is designed, it is that in 6 months you will cover most of the bases that are required to be covered when a leader transitions in a very structured way. And it will also give, there are a lot of exercises that we have built in, which means that making sure that the lead, it's not just the coaching session,
Yeah.
but within the two coaching sessions, there are specific exercises which the leader must do in order to get familiar with that specific theme of the month. So that's really how it goes.
Brilliant. One, I love the fact that it's not just conversations, it's action and helping your leaders in transition with the actions. And I love
Hmm.
the name Scale Up, so resonates with what you are getting them to do. Um,
Thank you. Thank you.
so, Yoshita, if there are leaders who are listening to this podcast and they want to figure out, am I in transition? Is this program for me? What should they look for?
So I think very simply, if you are undergoing a role transition where you are moving to a more senior role, definitely this program is for you. If you have joined a new organization and you are kind of settling in and trying to find your way around that new ecosystem, definitely this is for you. If you are somebody like I have recently signed up a client who has exited from their earlier company but not gone into the new company, but we have initiated LTL. I mean, he's been very proactive in because he feels that this will really enable him to get in with a more clearer thought process. So he's in that zone in the middle, but he's soon going to be joining the new organization as a managing director. And he's getting up, and it's very interesting because it's unique and it evolves. So, for example, in my last session with him, I just asked him, I said, "You're joining. So, have they come up with an induction plan? Have they given you some idea of what your induction plan?" So he said, "I'm not sure there's going to be a major induction plan." So I said, "Okay, so would you like to craft your induction plan?"
Ah,
And and just that exercise just gave him so much clarity because he started thinking of his interview. He started thinking of what were the few things that his leader had told him are the imperatives of the role.
yeah.
And so he was able to craft, at least have clarity on what is it that he would like to have as an induction plan. So I think it's very practical, very tangible, and I think it that is what makes it unique.
So glad, so glad. In my leadership workshops, a lot of these questions come up. I got promoted and then now I'm struggling.
Mm,
Unfortunately, they got promoted because of their individual contributions of the work that domain specialization, expertise, and all. But when they become a leader, that whole transition around, now I have to be different, I have to do different, hasn't
mm,
settled in. And
mm.
somewhere leaders are expected to know it all, be able to do it all, and
Yes.
it can be really challenging. And so glad that hand holding from where they are to where they want to be uh, is what you're offering. Thank you so much.
Shanti, I think I just love what you said that from where they are and where they want to be. Of course, we know that as coaches, that is something that we do. But I think what many organizations don't realize is that they just wait for the leader to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I was going doing some research and I found that 40 to 60% failure rate exists for CXO level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now that's a very high level of rate of failure. And I have this question that if you are paying such big money to hire somebody, right? You go through so much of struggle to look for profiles, do the
Yeah.
whole interview process, and find the right person. Then I think it's like it just naturally progresses from there that they must be supported to integrate into the organization.
So
And one can't expect that. So one HR leader said to me that, yeah, we've found this expert. Now let's wait and watch. Like, bhaiya, wait and watch. Wait and watch. में ये होएगा that your organization will lose time. And
Exactly.
and it is the leader is left to their devices, so they will do what comes up in front of them, that whole urgent versus important.
Yeah.
So I think that I think from an organization's perspective also, it brings down the risk of the leader feeling ill at ease in an organization.
Very
It
true.
also,
Very true.
yeah,
And when
yeah,
they're not at ease, it's so, it is not fair to expect them to make the right decisions for the organization, because in that moment, it is like, how do I survive? Not how does the organization thrive? Uh, so true.
well said. Hmm.
Lovely. Let's play a game now. Yeah.
Okay,
I call it this or that. Uh,
okay.
I'll place two options. Don't think
Uh-huh.
too much. Uh, just share your choice, this one or that one. There are no right or wrong answers. It's your set of choices. Yeah. All right. In-person coaching, virtual coaching.
Virtual.
Why?
I just feel somehow it's very intimate because there's nobody around. It's
Hmm,
just me and that person.
wonderful. Early morning strategy sessions or late night reflections.
Late night reflections.
I thought so. I think that's the pet peeve for all coaches, right? Reflections. Okay. Big corporate boardrooms or one-on-one coaching? I think I know the answer, but go ahead.
Well, I'm somewhere in the middle, so I think a bit of both.
Bit of both. Hmm. Then I would also ask why.
I think the one-on-one coaching it helps you to engage with the boardroom, because then the boardroom can see that there is something that is very profound that is happening. And I'll give you one story. Can I give you a story?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
So there was a leader that I was coaching, and they had a very they had a very evolved process and a very involved process where the leadership, which is the board people, so to speak, would get together with the coach.
Huh.
And so which is not a usual practice. I mean, usually it's just one, we do a tripartite, right? But
Hmm.
there was this one meeting where there were these four of their topmost people in the organization, and they had this conversation about the growth that they had seen in the leader that was undergoing coaching.
Hmm.
And I, as a coach who was engaging with that boardroom, um, I felt so grateful, and I felt also that there was something which we call the coaching flywheel, right? That there is
Yeah.
a momentum to the coaching flywheel,
Hmm.
because people start believing that yes, it can help.
Yeah.
Otherwise, sometimes people are very skeptical that this is like a 40 something or a 50 something person is not going to change,
Yeah.
right? So, to that effect, I do love being in the boardroom.
In the
And
boardroom.
yeah,
Wonderful. Hmm. Reading a leadership book or dancing to recharge?
dancing to recharge.
Hmm. A coffee chat with your client or um, meditation retreat?
Coffee chat with clients.
Ooh. Um, Structured plans or spontaneous doing?
Bit of both.
Tell me
Do I
more.
have to choose?
Yeah, I would love to, but if it's a bit of both, tell me why.
Uh, so over a period of, I used to be very structured and organized, especially when I was a marketing person in my corporate job and all of that. But I think over the years, I have started realizing that it was becoming a little bit of a constraint for me.
Hmm.
And it was important, I would not say important, somewhere it was taking away my ease, because many a times you cannot really plan for something. Sometimes things will happen just spontaneously, whether you like it or you don't like it,
Yeah.
right? And I don't remember my husband used to say, I think I discussed a birthday gift with you because you don't like surprises. Right?
Ooh.
To that effect, to that effect.
Yeah.
So I think that has been part of my growth journey to realize that, okay, life cannot be controlled to that extent, and it's okay to be a little spontaneous. And when you bring in spontaneity, there's more fun.
So
There's
true.
more space for fun and laughter. Otherwise, when you're very planned and organized, it's very task oriented.
Yeah.
At least for me, that's how it was. I was not scheduling, let's say, okay, 60 minutes of fun with my friends or anything. So
Yeah.
those were more spontaneous. So
Hmm.
I feel that, yeah, a bit of
It's a
both.
combination of both. Yeah. Yeah. I think for me too, more of my work is has to be structured. Otherwise, I know with my forgetfulness, I'll miss things. But planning a vacation, I think the more spontaneous, not knowing where to go. Sometimes I've
Yeah.
just sat in the car and my husband has driven. I don't even know where we are going. I'm like, okay, let's go. Just tell me, do I need to carry warm clothes or cool clothes? That. Let's go. Yeah, I love both of it
Um,
too. Wonderful. Chalo, let's proceed. Um, what does leadership mean to you in today's changing and evolving context?
there's a quote that I had read long ago during my Ranbaxy days.
Hmm.
The quote was, if you can inspire others to do more, to dream more,
Hmm.
to be more,
Ooh.
then you are a leader. So I think this was a quote from the 1760s. One of the U.S. presidents, Quincy Adams, I think that's what the gentleman's name was. And I think that was such a beautiful definition. I think even today it holds. I mean, it's
Relevant,
been,
no? Yeah.
yeah. And I think it's very, very relevant because even in today's context, the generations have changed. Our workforce has changed. A lot of leaders struggle with that.
Hmm.
Um, but if you can inspire people to dream more, to do more, to become more, then you're a great leader. That hasn't changed. And I think that is how I would look at it.
How beautiful. Do define transitions for us also. What is transition according to you?
Transitions are moments of metamorphosis. It's about letting go to become more.
Hmm.
That's what I think. Because you only transition from something to something, right?
Something.
Which means that you have to let go of that attachment in order for you to create that new you. And so for me, transition is, at least as far as leadership is concerned, though your question was not about leadership, but for me, transitions in leadership are really very big opportunities of transformation.
Yeah.
And
To be handled with care. I am thinking about the metaphor that you used, butterfly, and I just about 6 months ago I had read that when it's in that pupa stage, if you break
uh,
open the shell, the butterfly doesn't live.
ha,
To allow it its full time in that dormant state
page.
to be able to fly and live. Uh,
Yes. You
yeah.
can't rush it. And that's why I'm very wary of these 90-day early wins, those kind of that jargon that is there. And for this whole butterfly thing, I'll also give you one of my favorite, all-time favorite quotes is by an author called Richard Bach.
Hmm.
And in his book, I forget the name, Illusions. Yeah, Illusions. There is a quote which says, what the caterpillar calls the end of the world,
Mhm.
the master calls a butterfly.
Yeah.
So that is transition, right? It's like the end of one world to become something
Who
different.
knew? Bigger,
Yeah.
better, absolutely. Let's talk about you now, Yoshita.
Hmm.
What has been your most significant transitions that you have experienced? Um, what were those turning points for you?
So many. Where do I start?
All of them, we are here to listen.
I think one very interesting transition that I can tell you about is when I moved from being a student to being a professional.
Mm,
And I remember we used to have 6 days. I joined Coca-Cola and I was in sales and I was in Jaipur. We had very long hours in the first management training period. And when Sunday would come, I used to feel guilty
mm,
that I should be studying. Like there must be some exam that I have to prepare for, and I used to be like, Acha, mujhe nahi kuch, I don't have to study. I can just chill.
yeah.
Just that years and years of being a good student,
Brilliant.
I had to move away from, and that was one interesting transition. But I think there have been a few more significant ones. One was when I moved from a corporate professional to a freelancer, and a freelancer to an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
And I think corporate professional to freelancer, a lot of people do, so I will not dwell on that much. But freelancer to entrepreneur, I think that was a very big transition for me. It pushed me way beyond my boundaries. It made me look at my limiting beliefs
Yes.
around being an entrepreneur, like even introducing myself. So, very simply, do I introduce myself as an executive coach or do I introduce myself as a founder of a brighter life?
Yeah.
And I think there was so much there that I had to unpack, so much I had to let go of, so many limiting ideas around what business owners are like, um, in order to embrace my entrepreneurial self. So that was one very big transition. And I think another very significant transition on the personal front was during COVID-19, the Delta wave that happened.
Hmm.
And I was one of the lakhs of people who landed in hospital, was there in an ICU, not in an ICU, but in a ward, and seeing the chaos, seeing the people who would come wearing those suits,
Yeah.
top to bottom wearing those suits, and yet making sure I get my medicine, making sure that I'm treated. I think that was a very, very big turning point for my life.
Yeah. And these turning points teach you so much.
They
As long
do.
as you're observant, they they are the basis of the transformation of, the caterpillar becoming a butterfly. Wonderful.
Mm.
Um, Yoshita, when I read your intro, we heard about the fact that you do a lot of inner child work.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, how does working on the inner child help leaders through the transition?
Oh, that's such a fantastic question, Shanti. I think most of us go through our lives without examining why am I the way that I am,
Yeah.
and and we are busy. We are busy with our lives. We are busy with all our responsibilities, and I think what happens in inner child work is that you start looking at that and you start building that awareness. You start answering that question that, okay, why am I this way? And the starting point in any coaching is some amount of an assessment that takes place, which could be a psychometric assessment, which tells you what are some things that come naturally to you or you have a preference for. Or it can be feedback, which reveals to you that, okay, your people who work with you would like this behavior to be a little different. It's a derailer. So I think what inner child does is that it gives you a much deeper understanding of where is this coming from. And I'll give you one example. So I was coaching a leader who who was so keen on having transitions every 18 months. Like every 18 months, he would hound HR. मेरा next promotion कब आ रहा है? Okay. So, um, and people were like, no, you settle into this role and there's so much more you can do here and so on. But he was that way. Um, and there I felt the need that we needed to go a little deeper and really understand what was driving that need to
Yeah.
quickly keep growing and continuously and endlessly. And what we arrived at in that conversation, I still remember, it's been many years, is that he was trying to prove to his mother and he wanted to make his mother proud of him that he was as good as anybody else because he could not become an engineer. He lost his father when he was 14, and and that is where he had made a promise to himself
Yeah.
that I'm going to make my mother proud. And that subconscious promise was continuously propelling him. So when he told me this, I asked him, I said, so how does your mother think about you now? Like, what is her? And he suddenly said, oh, she's so proud of me. She talks about me to all my relatives. And that, when he said it, he suddenly, leaned back and he let out this big sigh and he realized कि ये हो चुका है.
Yeah.
And so this understanding of the inner child, the child and the wounds of childhood and why they make us behave in a certain way, I think that's extremely helpful for leaders, whether they are in transition or even as professionals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
must for everyone, not just leaders. So beautifully.
Yes. Yes.
Yishta, has your own healing journey shaped the way you work with leaders, shaped the way you engage with others, yourself, your work? Any story you'd like to share there?
Oh, yes, completely. It's been a very, very important part of this career, I would say. And that's why I love this career. And that's why I chose this career. You'll find, Shanti, a lot of people say that, oh, I coach to create impact and so on and so forth. I never had an altruistic purpose. My purpose was my professional and personal growth have to overlap.
Yeah.
I cannot keep growing a corporate ladder and be a hollow human being. So, what is it that I can do to enrich myself? And that is where I chanced upon inner child healing. And I'll give you one anecdote. So, I was in a 6-day retreat, and they were doing healing of infancy.
Hmm.
Infancy is there's in vitro when you are in the mother's womb,
Hmm.
and infancy is till the time maybe you are 18 months.
Okay.
Okay, and that's after that there's toddler. So I unlocked a subconscious memory of me being a 3-month-old baby and 3 or 4-month-old baby, and I was lying on a bed all alone in a very big room and thinking to myself that there is no point that I cry because babies only cry if they want attention. There's nothing else they can do. So I was like, there's no point crying because nobody's going to come.
Hmm.
Nobody's around. Who's going to even listen to my cry? And that memory actually, of course, there's so much of grief, right? You're feeling abandoned, you're feeling koi bhi nahi hai, that kind of a thing. So I grieved for that memory. I cried my heart out. But I also understood that इतना भी drama नहीं है मतलब. It was just that my mother was a working person
Mm.
And she would go to work, and there was a lady who was supposed to take care of me, and that lady was not there at that moment,
Yeah.
right? And of course, because I did this workshop when I was already a mother, again, a very big transition point in life,
Yeah.
um, uh, I could understand that there is, I mean, this is not the right conclusion that I had arrived at as a baby, but it's okay. I mean, what does the baby need? The baby needs care and attention.
Yeah.
Now, this one event where I unlocked this memory, I grieved for that feeling, and I made a new meaning, or was able to reframe that, led to a profound shift in me. And that was that I always used to feel a hollow feeling in my tummy. And
Hmm.
I used to feel that especially when I was in a big party, lots of people around me, that is where I used to feel this kind of loneliness the most. And actually, after this healing, I have never felt that ever again. And it has just, I, in fact, am now my best friend, and I love spending that time with me. And I never, and when I'm with, even when I'm with a set of new people in big crowds, I'm very comfortable to initiate conversations, which wasn't the case earlier.
Wow. As you were sharing the story, I was having goosebumps. Uh, but yeah, so profound that something in our subconscious is triggering us to be the way we are today. And
Mm,
if we have that awareness, it can be so transformational. Thank you for that share, Yoshita.
my pleasure.
Moving to a little bit older in your life, and uh, I'm sure there were people, figures who've influenced you a lot. Can you recount a few people who've really shaped who you are today?
I think that's pretty easy for me to do. Because every year on Teachers' Day, I write down all the people who have shaped me. So it's but I think top of the list are my parents. Um, my parents both come from very humble backgrounds, like literally hand to mouth backgrounds. And they both became IS officers.
Oh, awesome.
So it's like extraordinary life that they've both had, literally, to be from where they are to become what they did. And I think so. I've had the most amazing role models at home. My mother is the person from whom I get my work ethic. She is somebody who's driven. She's somebody who's very structured, organized, somebody who is very sincere and puts in a lot of commitment to anything that she does. Even today, if she's reading a scripture, she will have her notebook and her pen to make notes, even at 75. So that's the kind of ethos that she has, and that I think I've learned from her to some extent. She's also the OG woman leader in my life, right? So she also gave a lot of stress to education, to being financially independent as a woman. So these were some things that she has really helped me to define for myself. And my father is, he was the OG coach.
Mm.
He was a coach even before professional coaching was a thing. I think he comes from that, that ethos of, अगर आपने चाणक्य देखा होगा,
Mm.
where they would ask the kings these questions, right? I
Yeah.
think he was a person who could sit with with another individual, no matter what age, gender, status of life, and he could really make such beautiful, deep conversation. He would always give a spiritual layer. And
Wow.
I remember our dinner conversations where um, he would ask you question after question after question, and you knew this is going somewhere, but as a teenager,
Yeah.
and there was so much of attention that you got when and so much of your thinking that got shaped. And the other thing is because he came from this beautiful town in Himachal Pradesh, this connection with nature
Hmm.
and the present moment. I don't know if you've seen the hill people, they are very chilled. They
Yeah.
have a sense of ease. They can sit in the sunshine for hours or stare at the water or walk barefoot on grass. My father taught me all of that. So, yeah, so amazing parents, and I'm very, very blessed. I'm so blessed with them, and I think they've shaped so one has shaped the professional side of me, the other has shaped the being side of me. And mm, I think other than that, Shanti, also some Arun Baklu was my mentor when I moved into leadership development. So he was person who gave such beautiful principles. Like I think one of the things I go back to very often is that he talks about being an empty flute. So
Hmm.
whether you are a facilitator or you are a coach, as a flute, are you empty?
Yeah.
Okay. And what that means is that you have to be free of judgment. You
Hmm.
have to be free of your baggages so that you can be fully present to the person in front of you or the task in front of you and allow emergence to happen. And this was a word that I learned from him. I never knew there was a word called emergence.
Oh,
But he would always say that be the empty flute so the divine music can play through you. And I'm extremely grateful for the grounding that I got in this career from Arun. So I think, yeah, these would be my
how
top
powerful.
three.
Be the empty flute so that the divine music can play through. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
This always brings
Gather
goosebumps.
myself for the next question. This is really profound, sinking in. Um, you've mentioned you've worked a lot with women leaders. What
Mm.
inspired uh, that work?
So as I told you, I first became a leadership facilitator when I moved careers, and I was doing a lot of workshops. And in those workshops, I was the only woman.
Hmm.
And I didn't like that. It made me feel like why? And
Why?
it's not, and when I started out, it wasn't as if I was doing boardroom work straight away. I wasn't. I was doing like managerial development programs and leadership development programs. And I couldn't figure why there was not a single other woman in as a participant. And also I noticed if there were women
Hmm.
participants, the quality of conversation would be different.
Yeah.
And I got that realization when, for one organization, I did many, many batches of the same program.
Hmm.
So they were all generally people from the same level.
Huh.
And the conversation was on the same topic. But when there are women versus when there are no women, right? You could see the difference.
Difference. True.
And that is where I could see that what they say about diversity and how having more women in the corporate world would change the quality. I mean, on a lighter note, if you see a boy gang laughing and joking and talking, and then a woman walks into that mix, you will see how they also suddenly they will all change.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's a change for the good. It's a change for the better. It's change for a more compassionate world. It's a change for a more understanding world,
Yeah.
a, a more patient world. And
Hmm.
that is what really, so that was one part of it. The other part of it is I also read some books around women leadership, and I realized, like, for example, Lean In is a very famous book by Sheryl Sandberg. Marshall Goldsmith also wrote one book called How Women Rise. And Then there was one about how good women don't get the corner office, right? And so all these books also indicated to me that women hold back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And with my inner child work, because I had run workshops and I had seen that women have a gender lens which impacts how they show up in the corporate world.
Hmm.
There is something known as the inner patriarch that all women have. And no matter how emancipated a woman,
Hmm.
no matter how much of a feminist a woman is, but that inner patriarch plays tough with the woman. And that's where I felt that there was a need for programs where women can be made to understand their inner patriarch.
Hmm.
They can also, therefore, become ready to raise their hand at the next opportunity. So
Powerful.
that is that's the kind of women leadership programs that I enjoy doing, where we go into deeper self, we go into rules of childhood, gender rules of childhood. As a girl, what did I think? How was it different from the boys that I grew up with? How are the rules different? How does that play out now that I am a mother, now that I'm a wife, now that I'm a daughter in law, and now that I'm a professional? And when you start understanding the connections and you start understanding some of those subconscious beliefs, I think it just makes people break free of those shackles. And I think there is a lot of power there.
Wow. See your motivation for working with women. Truly admirable. Thank you. All right. Now I'm going to move to a set of questions, Yoshita. Rapid fire. You can answer
Hmm.
one word, one short phrase, whatever works for you. Yeah. Don't think too
Okay.
much again. Yeah. That's the fun part of it. Um,
Okay.
one leadership quality that you admire most.
Authenticity,
Hmm. A habit that keeps you grounded on a day-to-day basis.
gratitude journaling.
You do that every day?
Yes.
What's your favorite way of doing gratitude journaling?
I have an app called Gratitude and I just write it in there.
Ah, lovely. One book that has changed the way you see leadership.
Hmm. What got you here won't get you there by Marshall Groves. Yeah.
Lovely, lovely. Um, the most surprising insight a client has ever shared with you.
Most surprising insight. I think surprising for the client.
Hmm?
Um, there was a client who was very aggressive in meetings, and the moment somebody would come with an opposite point of view,
Hmm.
as he would immediately get into that fight mode, my way or the highway, stop listening, and so on. And as we explored that, what came out was that there was a label that he had internalized, which had been given to him by an aunt when he was 10 years old,
Ah,
which was the label of being a rotten egg. And he actually had tears in the coaching session.
yeah,
And he was grieving for that child from 40 years ago. And he realized that that comparison that he would have or elders would do with respect to his cousins
yeah,
and his other brothers was something that was propelling him. So the same behavior was repeating in organizational context. that no, the moment he is challenged, it would trigger that fact that, it's like a comparison, and he is not stupid, he's not a rotten egg.
Ah, that need to prove again and again, again and again.
Yes.
So true, so true. Um, what relatives, cousins, siblings, parents,
Mm,
teachers, schoolmates, classmates say in a very joking, light, sometimes even with love and affection, they
mm,
have such a deep impact on
yes.
how people's lives shape up. Uh, Beautiful. Okay. If your coaching style were a song, which song would it be?
Um, Something like कुछ तुम कहो कुछ हम कहें.
Arey wow. Nice. Can you sing that for us?
कुछ तुम कहो कुछ हम कहें, खामोशी को खामोशी से, जिंदगी को जिंदगी से बात करने दो.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. One thing about coaching that your clients or people in general misunderstand.
Sorry, say that again.
Something about coaching that is misunderstood.
Oh, mostly people think that I have to give them all the answers. I am the expert, I'm the mentor. And even though we do those contracting, and I take a lot of pains to explain, yet in
Couple
coaching
of
sessions,
sessions, it's
people,
all forgotten, no?
yeah. Yeah, so there's like recontracting, and then you have to push back and you have to say, no, no, what do you think? What do you think? And sometimes then coach is like, huh, I knew if I will ask you, this is what you will
What you
say.
would say. Yeah.
But yeah, that happens sometimes,
Have you
yes.
ever had a client who said that, but you should know, why aren't you helping me?
Yeah, yeah,
How did you?
that has happened. And I think somewhere, if I see that somebody's stuck in a loop and we are going back and forth and coming back to that same question over and over, and the client is not being able to find a way, then, I go back to my ethos of what is in service of the client. Because sometimes, as a coach, as an ICF coach, I may want to push the client a lot to come up with their own answers. And sometimes they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah,
That also happens. And so then I will take permission. I'll say, okay, I'm putting my coaching hat aside, and I can tell you what I know as a leadership facilitator. And here's a tool that I can offer you. And yeah, that has happened
that
a
happened.
few times. Yes. And I think they value that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. They
they
value.
value that as well.
Especially when
And
the
they
client
also,
is,
sorry.
please complete.
I was saying they also value sometimes stories. Like sometimes people ask me, what have you seen other leaders, So just to feel that I'm not alone, other people also go through the same thing. I think that also is very heartening. And yeah, and sometimes I do make them aware that it's okay, it has happened to other people as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And truly believe that when the client is feeling truly stuck, unable to see a way out, it's okay to extend that helping hand and pull them out. Brilliant.
right. Yeah.
Yushita, if you had an opportunity to coach a leader from history, who would that be and why?
Probably Hitler.
Why?
So, when I first went for my coach training program, they made us do one exercise where you had to coach a cannibal. Okay, guess who was the cannibal?
Hitler.
I was the cannibal,
Oh gosh.
right? And everybody else, they did it in a very I have to keep my baggage out,
Hmm.
right? When I'm coaching. And it's all about the coachee's agenda,
Yeah.
isn't it? So I think coaching Hitler would challenge me and to be that to really see whether I can be non-judgmental. That's why.
Wow. Lovely challenge to have. More power to you. Hmm. Couple of fun questions and then we'll wrap up. Guilty pleasures when you want to take a break.
When I want to take a break, I generally go out with my friends
Hmm.
and have chocolate cake.
Ah, lovely. A mantra or a quote that you live by.
I think I already mentioned to you what the caterpillar calls the end of the world, the master calls a butterfly. And I think that is a quote that has been stuck on my walls in several places um, when I've been working. And it's something which is very etched. So whenever I feel that I can't see the future, I I go back to that quote because it tells me that with my limited understanding, I can only see this much, but the master knows the butterfly
And
will
a lot.
emerge.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Uh, Jishita, what would your advice be for leaders who are going through transitions?
I would say that support yourself, right? I think I've seen too many leaders being too harsh and self-critical and wanting to solve everything and being in that constant pressure. And
Hmm.
I feel like it doesn't need to be that way. If your, let's say, if your child comes to you um, because they are in a tough spot,
Yeah.
you would very lovingly support them or find a way in which they can feel supported. I
Yeah.
think we don't give that same privilege to our own self. So that would be my message, that find a way of what would support you the most to get through that transition with ease. And the second thing is that when you look back in life, and I think leaders have enough life experience to look back at life and see how the dots have connected, right? How it has all made sense in the long run. So if we can look back at the way the dots have connected, then we can also trust
Yeah.
that whatever is to come will also be like that. And you trust the process of life. I think these are my top two mantras.
Such lovely words, Yoshita. Thank you. One last question. Looking ahead, Yoshita, what's the brighter life you're creating for yourself or the people that work with you?
I think brighter life is a life of more love, more joy, more ease, um, more clarity. And I think that's my definition of a brighter life. That is also our organizational definition of a brighter life. So that is just going to guide whatever we do, and that's what we aspire for ourselves as well as for our clients and people we work with.
Wonderful, wonderful. It was such a lovely conversation, Yoshita. I didn't realize how time has flown by. Um, you have some very powerful ways to connect with people, ways to help people. Keep doing all the good work you can. Any final words before we say goodbye?
So I think, first of all, thank you so much, Shanti. I too enjoyed this conversation. made me go into places of myself that one really doesn't get the chance to do. So I loved your questions and I loved going into such aspects of myself which I've never articulated before. Thank you for that opportunity.
My pleasure.
And yeah, and I think for me, my the only thing I want to say is that I feel deeply grateful for the opportunity and for being here, for being in your presence. And that's the thing that keeps me going. And I look forward to more such conversations with you.
Absolutely, thoroughly enjoyed, and let's have lot many such conversations. Take care.
Fantastic. Thank you.